Good day, beautiful people. This is Natalie Silva with Life Treasures and Golden Moments, sharing with you true stories of miracles and inspiration. Welcome back. How you doing? It's so wonderful to have you with me today. And as I promised, for the month of March, I'm going to share some stories with you about the miracles of nature. And we are very fortunate today to have received a couple of stories from our listeners out there. And I want to give a shout out to Judy and Jolene for sending them in. And I think you're going to like them very much. The first story is a story about a goose, but it doesn't have a title, so I think I'm going to just call it The Goose and the Policeman. When he followed her, he couldn't believe what he saw. Officer James Givens has served with the Cincinnati Police Department for over 26 years, but has never quite experienced anything like this before. He was sitting in the patrol car in a parking lot when he got an unexpected visitor. A goose came up to his car and started pecking on the side of it. He threw food out for her, but thinking that's what she wanted, but she didn't take it. She continued to peck and quack, then walked away, stopped, and looked back at Officer Givens. Then she came back again to his car and pecked at it again. She made it very obvious that she wanted Officer Givens to follow her, so he finally got out of his car and did just that. The goose led him 100 yards away to a grassy area near a creek. Sitting there was one of her babies, tangled up in a balloon string. He was kicking his feet, desperate for help. He was wary of helping the baby on his own, worried that the goose might attack him. So he called for help from the SPCA, but no other wildlife rescuers were available at the moment. Luckily, Givens' colleague, Officer Cecilia Sharon, came to help. She began to untangle the baby, and the mother goose just stood there and watched, quacking. She didn't become aggressive and just let Officer Sharon do what she had to do to set the baby free. It's like the mother goose knew they were helping. Once she untangled the baby, she put her down and she ran right to her mom, and they went back into swimming in the creek. Sharon teared up and said it was the highlight of her 24 years on the force. It seems like something made up. It was just incredible, Givens said. I honestly don't know why I decided to follow her, but I did. It makes me wonder, do they know to turn to humans when they need help? We may never know the answer to this question, but what we do know is that Officer Givens was in the right place at the right time to help these geese. Life is precious, a great story with a good ending. I thought it was interesting that she picked a police car, as if she knew somehow that the police are out there protecting us every day and risking their lives. God bless for those who watch over us all. What a neat story that we heard there today, and thanks again, ladies, for sending that one in. That was really special. The next story is about how an unexpected friendship with a wolf transformed a whole town. Despite their incredible beauty and their obvious similarities with our considerably tamer canine companions, everyone knows not to play with wolves. So when wildlife photographer Nick Jans in his laboratory encountered a wild wolf behind their home, adrenaline started pumping through them both. When the wolf approached the Labrador, Nick could only stand helplessly by and watch. But what he didn't know then, on that cold winter day of 2003, was that the encounter was the beginning of a relationship that defied all logic and fundamentally transformed an entire community. During the winter of 2003, a jet black wolf showed up on the edge of suburban Juneau, Alaska. But this wolf didn't bare his teeth and growl aggressively. Instead, it seemed too long for companionship. Wildlife photographer Nick Jans was on his back porch when he saw the wolf for the first time. Despite the danger, Nick's Labrador went to meet the visitor. Nick, who had photographed and tracked wolves for years, immediately knew that the wolf was wild, so he was shocked when his Labrador suddenly started to play with him. He hurriedly grabbed his camera and began to capture the unexpected moment. After a while, the wolf returned into the wilderness, but it wasn't long before he returned. The wolf would come to Nick's house to greet him often, and sometimes it even followed Nick when the photographer was skiing. And the wolf was always gentle, says Nick. The wolf was downright relaxed and tolerant from the start, as if he had dropped out of the sky like a unicorn. Years passed, and Nick spent much time documenting the wolf. He eventually named the wolf Romeo. At first, many of the small town's residents didn't trust Romeo, but they soon realized that he was a wolf unlike any other. Romeo soon became known by everyone in the area. People took their dogs to Mendendal-Galisa Park so their dogs could meet Romeo. There were never any serious accidents. Not only did Romeo make plenty of dog friends in and around Juneau, he even sometimes interacted and played with humans. The wolf would bring out his toys that he had stashed away, and one was a styrofoam float. Romeo would pick it up and bring it out to his friend Harry to throw. He clearly understood the same sort of behaviors that we see in dogs. The amazing thing was Romeo's understanding. It wasn't just our understanding and tolerance. It was a combination of his and ours and the dog's. We were all these three species working out how to get along harmoniously. And we did, said Nick. Romeo lived on the outskirts of Juneau for 6 years. He became an ambassador for the nature and powerful symbol of the entire community. He was a pure, wild wolf. He was not a pet, as some suggested, that had been released, because then he would have been coming to us for food. He was his own gatekeeper and came and went as he pleased. Sometimes he disappeared for weeks. He clearly was catching and eating wild food with great skill, Nick explained. After 6 years, Romeo's time in the community ended. He passed away in 2010, but residents will never forget how he had transformed the village. The average lifespan of a wolf in the wild is 3 years. Romeo was already full grown when he showed up, and then he lived among us for 6+ more years. So he was 8 years old at the time of his death, Nick says. Shortly after Romeo passed away, the city of Juneau commemorated the wolf, creating a special plaque to honor him. The plaque is installed by the lake he used to frequent. What a beautiful touch. That 3 such different species were able to live alongside peacefully and in complete harmony is so inspiring. It really shows you how wonderful the world and nature can be. Along with the story, my listeners sent a picture of the plaque, and on it says Romeo, 2003 to 2009. The spirit of Juneau's friendly black wolf lives on in this wild place. Again, thank you to my listeners for sending in those 2 beautiful stories for me to share with you all. And by the way, if anyone else out there has a beautiful story that they'd like to share of a miracle or a story of inspiration, please contact me at angelswhisper11@gmail.com. This is Natalie Silva. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, take care, have a beautiful week, and God bless.